I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus I was evil. Take things and break things and Jesus I was evil. I never shook baby.
There we go.
Yeah. Well,
Episode 50, man.
holy shit! Oh, it's the 50th episode.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't. I didn't plan anything for that.
Yeah.
Shit.
Nothing but stupidity is what I planned for this
That's right.
recording.
So you were gonna talk about the origins of the moth joke.
Yes. So
Norm
Norm
Macdonald's
was
famous joke.
the infamous. Oh, and for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, go check it out. And when he was on Conan, so that joke, the original incarnation of the joke, is super basic. And I think he said that it was Colin Quinn who told him that joke, who was on SNL. And the basic joke of it was like, this moth goes to a podiatrist's office, and then he says, hey doc, I got all these problems. I'm schizophrenic. I'm paranoid. I can't sleep at night. And then the podiatrist says, well, you've got a lot of problems, but why did you come here? I'm a podiatrist. And then you need to see a psychiatrist. And then the moth goes, yeah, but the light was on. And he goes, and then Norm's like, that's like a 20-second long joke. And so anyway, sometime later, I'm on Conan O'Brien's show and we do a segment. And then he goes, all right, everybody, stay tuned. We've got more Norm Macdonald. I didn't know that there was going to be a second segment. So I asked Conan during the commercial break, hey, how long is the second segment? Hoping it was only going to be 20 seconds long. And then he goes, oh, it's going to be 7 minutes long or whatever. And he goes, so I had to think of material. So he took that one 20-second joke and expanded it into minutes and minutes of just going to like Russian literature.
Yeah, like the brothers Karamazov, I think, or like Dostoevsky. Yeah.
Oh, but I love that. Like he was just so good at just playing like this awkward, just making shit up on the spot and killing it.
And not breaking. Like that's and I've said it. I mean, I've said there are a lot of reasons I couldn't be a stand-up comedian. I'm not that funny, but another one is that like when I think I'm being funny, it's really hard for me not to laugh.
Yeah.
It's like even when I'm doing other people's bits, I'm like trying really hard not to laugh. And I don't know how he did it. It's actually amazing.
I swear. Just one more quick little Norm Macdonald story. So I got to see him at the San Jose Improv years ago, and he killed it. And I remember the last joke at the end of the set. He kept building it up. He's like, oh, this is the funniest joke you're ever gonna hear. Trust me. Like you will never laugh as hard as this joke ever. And so he told the joke and fucking like he pulled it off. It was like the funniest joke of the night. And I can't remember that joke. It was just like magical and ethereal. Like it was just like he managed to crack us all up, but it's just sort of like no one will believe us that it was the funniest joke ever. But it's like I think he kind of knew.
You just have to like comb through his backlog and try and find it. Yeah, he was special, man. It sucks that he died.
Yeah. But
anyway, that's not what we're talking about at all.
Yeah, I know. This is the Reckless Muse is alive and well.
Yeah, I don't know how we got into that, but
we're just talking about Norm.
Off camera, you derailed us. That's your fault. We're gonna talk about horror stuff.
Yes, but before we do that, you got any? you got any? How's the artist life treating you, Ben? Have you done anything interesting or creative lately?
I'm going through the second self-edit. So after I finish a manuscript, novel manuscript, not like short stories and stuff. Like now I print it, I do self-edits, handwritten, like on it, and then I take those and I put them onto the doc on my laptop. So that's what I'm going through now.
Nice.
Yeah, I have a couple short pieces. But like I realized I was being too scattered, and I was like, I need to finish this and then work on like a few short pieces, and then I'll start working on another book. I'm gonna the book I just finished, the manuscript I just finished is a sequel, and there's going to be a third, but I can't work on that third right now. I need to take a break, and work on something else, and I'll come back to that, and it'll be a three-part series.
Nice, sweet, man.
Yeah, but that's really it. What about you?
A couple small things. So today I had coffee with one of our previous guests, Kimi Katiti.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. How's she?
She's doing great.
She's great. Yeah.
Yeah, she's wonderful. We got to get her back on the show soon. Had a terrific conversation with her. Yeah, no, she has not been spending as much time as she wanted doing music and art, but she's getting back into that. And she's got some cool stuff lined up. So I'm looking forward to having her back on the show. And I even told us, like, invite yourself. Just fucking tell us, hey guys, I got something coming up. Can I come on your show? So yeah,
we always tell guests that.
Yeah.
To just let us know, and we'll get them back on.
And something kind of cool that she's in the process of working on is her and another friend are kind of working on getting together a group of thinkers and artists in LA who are not, I wouldn't say who are anti-woke per se, but sort of like, I guess, heterodox, just sort of people who aren't afraid to kind of speak their mind on things. So
okay.
Yeah, so she's looking to get together a group with a friend. So that'd
cool.
be kind of cool. Yeah.
And do what?
Well,
what
I mean, we're just gonna sit around and talk ideas, but I don't know, it could be something interesting. I've always kind of played with this idea of like building some kind of, I don't know, collective or group of people who are just not. It's not, again, it's not necessarily political, but just sort of like who are in favor of freedom of speech and freedom of debate and expression, and don't be afraid to share your ideas, sort of thing. So I don't know. This could be, maybe at the very least, I'll find some other potential guests to come on the show. But,
I agree. I always have this like romantic idea of like meeting artists and like meeting at a bar. You always kind of see that in like movies. Yeah. Midnight in Paris, all the writers and painters.
I was gonna say, in France. Yeah, they're all
and that's so cool. Or like The Village during the Beat generation. And then I realized like I just have a genuine dislike of humanity. So I just kind of stop that thought.
I know, it's fun because like I have a very similar romantic notion as well of like, oh, let's bring together different people who are just willing to speak their minds, and let's fight our ideas together, and let's revolutionize it. But then there's the other part of me that's like, I fucking hate groups.
Yeah, I do. I really do. Like, that's the thing. It's like I tried doing a little bit of that in New Orleans, and I remember going to this reading, and one of the authors was great. I talked to him. He actually, coincidentally, he bought my book like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, cool.
He just like messaged me. He's like, "Hey Ben, I'm meaning to buy your book," and he bought the one that takes place in New Orleans. So that was really cool, and he was great. Yeah. Andy, if you hear this, you're great. The guy who was with him was sucked so bad. And I'm like, he's just like the kind of fart in a glass and sniff it type of writer. And like was so full of himself. And I tried like having a connection with him and talking, and and I'm like, dude, you wrote some fucking children's book. Like, it's fine. I want to write a children's book or two one day. But it's like, you didn't write Dubliners or something like, or I meant to say Ulysses there, but you didn't write like some great novel. You wrote a children's book, and you're acting like you're the Pulitzer Prize winner. And I don't know, I kind of dislike a lot of, I've always said writers are the worst people in the world, and then I changed that and said journalists are the worst people in the world, writers are a close second. But I do have that romance in me. Like I always see, like the young communists in the bar, like getting together, the young patriots during the American Revolution and talking out ideas and slamming on the table and stuff. And that's like, fuck, I don't want to go anywhere. Like I don't, or even at my house, I would like have people over, but I live in the suburbs, and no one from Philly is going to come out here. I'm sure I could get together some artists, but I don't know. I'm trying to get into some of the stores, like a local store around here. I'm going to try and get into to like do a book signing and things like that. But it's not like living in LA or New York. I even reached out to a bunch of New York City bookstores, and surprisingly, a lot did get back to me. I wasn't even expecting a response. They're like, oh, we don't do that, or we can't right now, or we only sell these types of books, or whatever it is. But I'm trying to get out there more. I do like putting my books in stores and meeting other writers and things like that. A lot of it right now is just kind of on like social media or the podcast, which is cool. Like that, like this is the closest I really get to it.
Yeah, man, that's cool. It is, but yeah, it's funny that we have like a similar, like, love and also kind of a distaste of like groups like that.
Yeah, I really don't like groups. That's the thing.
I was a big fan of the IDW for a bit, but then like when they kind of, it's like, oh, but this is what happens with every fucking group or organization or collective. It's like they start off like, oh, this is cool, this is interesting, the meeting of minds from different backgrounds, but they're all agree on a few basic first principles, but then they all kind of go, there's all this infighting and all the drama, and I'm like, I don't want to be part of that. But
I don't know enough about that. I know what the IDW is, of course. I don't know anything. I think honestly, I think where we are now is just going to be people going on each other's podcasts. You notice that the same people go on Barry Weiss's podcast and Blocked and Reported and Joe Rogan and hopefully TRM one day. And it's kind of like, this is what you do. And it's people, and I think it's great. It gets a lot of ideas out there, which is awesome. If there weren't podcasts, like it was just establishment media, it would be a nightmare. But I do,
but it's just at the very least, like I just because LA is so woke. I just like the idea of just meeting. Like I don't even care if it's an organized group or not. So I just want to meet other creative people who are.
I get that. If I was in a city, I'd probably do the same. If you do it, just put the laptop there and zoom me in, and I'll just hang out with you guys.
And one other thing I'm doing tonight. Okay, so this is another stupid, pretentious fucking art thing.
I feel like you like these because you always go to them, and then you're like, "Oh, this sucks," so I'm going to another one in 2 weeks.
It's such. And I actually talked about this with Kimmy. It's just sort of like I just love the hatred that it spurs in me, like just like that pure. Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
I used to burn myself just to feel something, but it's just like so. Okay, but I got the description here. So it's called. So we were talking about like non-binary shit that I might be doing. So this thing is called. The show is called The Erogenous Zone, and it's at a place called the Night Gallery.
Oh, spooky.
Nothing seems. Okay, here it is. Hi, babes. This is the description. This is them speaking. Yeah. Hi, babes. The Erogenous Zone Los Angeles is putting on a very rare and very sexy fall showcase with their lovely friends at Night Gallery. Please join us for an outdoor fall showcase of top-notch poetry, comedic performance, and music. And I was looking at the performances, and they'll have a wide variety of pronouns in their social media. So I paid. Usually when I go to these art show things, they're free. This one I had to pay $15, but there's going to be complimentary beer and cocktails. So it's like, okay, I can drink $15 worth of alcohol, so that'll cover.
Easy.
That'll cover easy. Yeah.
What does a cocktail cost in LA now?
At your typical bar, like $10 to $18. At like
what in the fuck? And I know I'm not stealing Barstool's bit here because they did something about this, but it's like I noticed a lot. I was in the city 2 weeks ago, and it was like, when did every drink just become $17?
Yeah,
that's what they were saying, and I agreed. I'm like, holy shit! Like, when did? And it's just like a vodka soda or something. It's kind of it's ridiculous. Not like a bar, but like any sort of. I'm not even upscale, but more than like a dive bar. Yeah, like anything a little more than a dive bar, like a nice restaurant or something. Yeah. Everything's like a martini's like $17. Yeah, no, it's the same thing here. It's really frustrating because it's like I feel for twice the amount of one cocktail, I can buy all the ingredients for that same type. It's like, okay, but I can make way more cocktails. Yeah. And you guys have that seltzer out there that I was housing when we were doing those shows. I forget what one that has like the skull on it. Like the Mexican skull, like right? Isn't it like that kind of Dia de los Muertos skull? I don't know what that is, but it was so good. Oh, I blacked out on those during the podcast with Pat and Vinny. We gotta get them back on, by the way. Oh yeah, we should reach out to them again. Yeah. But anyway, I'm having a vodka soda right now. I'm having this. Not $17. Oh, nice. In fact, the entire jug of vodka I bought was probably $10. Yeah. I'm drinking a Paloma cocktail. That? It's pre-made. Oh, it's tequila and grapefruit soda. I can't think of a more horrendous thing to drink. It's pretty amazing, actually. I like it. Grape soda? No, grapefruit. So squirt. Grapefruit. Yeah. Oh, grapefruit's amazing. Okay. Yeah. So squirt with tequila, basically. But I can't do tequila, but I know that's like in your blood or whatever. I sweat tequila. I can't do tequila, man. My brother loves it. He has Mexican neighbors who give him like the real shit. He says like, nice. Not the stuff like the real Mexican stuff. And he's like, there is a difference, which I'll try. If it's that good, I'll try. But I can't do tequila. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, we spent 14 minutes talking about Norm Macdonald and cheap vodka. So it's October. It's sober October. When did the term like spooky season become a thing? I don't know. I think I remember it since like I was in. My girlfriend says it a ton, and a lot of people I know. So everything's spooky now. Like that became the thing. And there's a show that's a Spanish show. I don't know what kind of Spanish, but in Spanish language, that's called Los Spookies, which I think is pretty funny. Oh, it's got Fred Armisen in it, I believe. Oh, is he in it? Yeah. It's a Spanish show, right? or no?
I know it's got like Hispanics in it. My sister was telling me about it. She knows I'm a big fan of Fred Armisen.
Yeah. I thought it was in Spanish. I haven't seen it.
I'm not sure though. I haven't seen it. She said it was
he's
good.
He's
He's like
something.
half Guatemalan, Venezuelan, and half
Yeah.
Korean, I think.
Wow, what a mix!
Yeah.
Because he can play like every race.
Yeah,
If you get not black, but he did play Obama. Didn't he play Obama?
That's right. Yeah, on SNL. Yeah.
I don't think he would. I don't think he'd be able to do that. If Obama was elected like 2020, let's say,
Yeah.
I don't think he'd be able to do that.
No.
But it's because he could do every race. He had Asian and Latino, and he could pass for like light skinned black and obviously white.
Yeah,
because everyone can do white.
Did you ever watch Portlandia?
Yeah, I watched a little of it. I remember like the first few episodes. I know like the chicken gag, like the free range kid, and they go to the farm and they see the chicken.
So what's his name? Kyle MacLachlan from Twin Peaks played the mayor of Portland, and he was like this very he's like a middle-aged guy, but he's very and very like business suit guy, but he's also very
the detective in
Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
But he's also trying to be very hip and be very hey vegans, I love vegans too, like that sort of thing. Like he's trying to be cool and hip. And so he got mad. He calls in Fred Armisen and Carrie Brownstein into his office because the local newspaper said that Portland was the least diverse city. And so he's like, I want to be the least to anything. And he goes, I think we're very diverse. And then Fred Armisen goes, well, I'm actually half Venezuelan and half Korean. And then Kyle MacLachlan goes, how is that possible? Those two countries are very far apart.
That's good.
But back to the spooky season.
So we're gonna talk
Possum.
I did watch Possum. So every October, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Let me see. I have my review right here. I gave it a 71.
Okay. All right.
Which on the RT scale is like a 4-star. It's a low 4-star, but it's a 4-star.
Yeah.
So my notes are, and I actually noted, like, I always kind of read some Rotten Tomatoes reviews, and then I go to the Wikipedia to get the actors and everything, make sure I have those. And I noticed I do have some similar kind of thoughts to what I read from others. I don't do that just like verify, but sometimes I completely disagree, and I read both the critics and the audience. It's fun with the audience because you start to see like they have the super reviewers. So it's like, oh, I like Nate Z, and like I always end up reading Nate Z because he like reviews tons of them too. I want to be a super reviewer. I have like 500 up there, but anyway, Possum. So I love Sean Harris. That's one of my first things, and I think he's an awesome actor. This is like the first movie I realized that I've seen with him where it's like not the Middle Ages. Like everything I see him in, it's like the Green Knight, the Borgias, the show, the King, and Macbeth. Like those are like I think the 4 things I've seen him in, and those are like all Middle Ages. And this is the first I've seen him in as a lead.
The first time I ever saw him was actually the exact opposite. He was in a Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah, I saw on his filmography Mission Impossible. I just haven't seen that one. Yeah. But I love him as an actor. He's great. Yeah. Really, I mean, if he wasn't in this, I don't know if I would have really liked it. He's such a great I don't know how to say, like facial actor. Like his facial expressions that's his kind of acting. Right. But it's a slow movie. There's not a lot of dialogue. There's really only like 2 characters plus the puppet. Yeah. It's very creepy.
I love that. I love the scenes with the puppet. Yeah.
The puppet's super gross and creepy and cool. Yeah. Like I like that. It got a little repetitive, I think. There's a lot of just like him evading the puppet. Yeah, which almost kind of felt like filler just to make like a feature. It almost felt like a movie that could have been like a short film, to be honest.
It was actually a short story, and I actually have the collection.
Story.
Yeah, I actually have the collection that the story was first featured in. It's like the uncanny. So it's like uncanny horror is sort of like it's the Possum. It's sort of like it's not explicit. It's not blood and guts. It's not like lots of monsters, but it's more sort of uncanny, bizarre, unsettling, nightmarish.
It's very,
not quite.
Well, it feels very British.
Yeah,
like it's. I feel like that's more of a subdued type of horror. Yeah. It's all in like East Anglia, which is like out there, like all the way in the east of England, very dreary and
working class and industrial.
Yeah, and like marshland and I've been told by English friends that East Anglia is kind of like the butt of a lot of jokes in England. Yeah. It's you know what Alan Partridge is?
Name sounds familiar, but I don't think so.
I forget who the actor is. He's the guy. You ever seen the movies The Trip and all the subsequent ones? You know who he is?
So.
You've seen Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
He's the director who steps on a landmine and explodes.
Yeah.
He has this show. It's a very English show. I don't think it really crossed over. I don't think a lot of Americans know it. But whenever I meet British people, I always bring it up and they're like, holy shit, you know Alan Partridge? Like, it's a very British thing.
Yeah.
And that takes place out there. And it like gets, it like makes fun of that area a lot. I don't know what the American equivalent would be. Maybe like, I don't know, like a Kentucky or something, like West Virginia, like that sort of, like kind of the butt of a lot of jokes. But anyway, so it's a really cool setting, really depressing.
Yeah.
You know that like, okay, he's either the victim of trauma or the perpetrator of like, at least carrying around that guilt. Like you're not really sure for a lot of, which really keeps you hooked. Like that's what's like, okay, I want to see what he did, or what happened to him, or both. Like, hurt people. So maybe he was a victim of trauma and passed it on to someone else. So I don't know. I liked it. I definitely liked it. I do think it went on a little long, a little repetitive. I don't know if the payoff was that great, to be honest. Maybe a little kind of expected it. And I don't know. It seemed like kind of abrupt. Yeah. And, but yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I have similar thoughts on that. I love the horror elements. I love the scenes with the puppet. I thought they were very creepy without being like over the top. I thought they were very just creepy and unsettling. I think that there were some challenges faced with taking, I don't know, I can't remember the exact page count, it's like 10, 15 pages and expanding into 100, like an hour and a half long thing. Overall, I really enjoyed that one. And I do love that bleak atmosphere. It reminds me, if you enjoyed that one even a little bit, there's another film. It's on Amazon Prime. It's called Caveat.
I have it on.
That's right.
They were right next to each other on my list because I think we talked about them both. I don't. Yeah. Is it on Amazon right now?
I know it's on Shudder, but I know you can access Shudder through Amazon Prime.
You have to pay for it though, right?
I'm not sure actually because my roommate he had Shudder. He was paying for Shudder separately, but then when he got Amazon Prime, they just kind of folded them into the same one. I don't know. I don't know.
Because when I go on mine, it says like this movie free or buy or rent or whatever. Right. So like I just do the free ones because I have so many on there. Yeah. I have a bunch. I don't know what I'm gonna do tonight. I'm gonna do probably either Scream, the new one, or or Night of the Living Dead maybe. I'm gonna try and get a lot because last year I did like a ton. I was kind of like burnt out from horror. Right now I've only done like 4, so I want to catch up and get like maybe 8 or 9 in for the season. Yeah. But yeah, I'll probably do one of those. I have It Comes at Night on there. You seen that?
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Supposed to be good.
I heard that was a good one. Yeah.
And then I always like to throw in some Asian horror, Korean, Japanese. Dude, have you seen Ganjam Haunted Asylum? Have we talked about that?
I don't think so.
Yo, it is so wild. Really good, kind of the typical like group of young people going to a haunted asylum, but like it's better than anyone I've seen. Yeah, because they also use a lot of tech in it, where it's like they have like kind of selfie stick cameras, and they're doing like like a website that show the live streaming. So it's cool because it's like what Blair Witch would have been in 2022 or 2019 or whenever it came out, 2016. Right. Really good movie though, like legit scary. Yeah, a legitimately scary movie.
Nice. Yeah. I love seeing horror movies from other countries and other cultures.
Well, getting back to Possum, like you were saying, I think if like because you were talking about the puppet, I feel like if that was an American movie, like the puppet would have started talking or something, or like would have gotten bit, which is like that's just kind of more we do everything over the top. Where it feels like the stereotype. That's our stereotype for British. It's more like subdued,
right? It's more understated,
more psychological. Yeah.
Caveat is terrific. I won't say much here, but it's an Irish horror film, and the main guy actually reminds me of Sean Harris, like a younger Sean Harris, because he has that kind of similar, kind of high pitched, but he's still kind of raspy voice. Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing there, but it's again, I won't say much about it, but there is something about it that has.
You told me it was like really scary.
It's pretty fucking intense. I remember Jim and we were watching it, and like for the most part, we're like, "Oh yeah, this is a cool movie. It's creepy. It's unsettling. It's interesting." And then there is one sequence at the end. I won't say, but there was one sequence.
I remember you talking.
I probably but it was like, "Oh my god, oh shit!" We're kind of horror movie veterans. So it was, I'll give it credit for having a pretty cool payoff. what I loved about the movie is similar to Possum. It has a very dreary atmosphere. Most of it takes place in one old house. But there's something about the color palette where it's just sort of like brown and green. It almost has like a really dark fairy tale esque aesthetic, which I really.
He says Irish.
It's an Irish film, yeah.
Irish. It's on. I have it on the list. I'm gonna get to it.
Yeah.
And I would put it on tonight if it was free, but I have too many free movies to
yeah.
watch and too many horror.
Let's see anything that I've seen recently. Oh, I watched a film. This is from a few years back. It was called Resolution.
Okay, I've never heard of it.
It's that one's on Amazon, as well as its sort of spin-off called The Endless. They're both sort of The Endless is a very Lovecraftian horror film, and I remember watching it a few years ago and being disappointed with it at first because I had a more simplistic definition of Lovecraftian horror, which is sort of like, oh, there weren't enough. Like when I watched it, I was like, oh, there weren't enough monsters, weren't enough tentacles. But now that I'm kind of more into sort of like psychological and intellectual horror, I kind of want to revisit it and catch a lot of things that I didn't think. And also, so I watched the prequel Resolution, and I admired it quite a bit. So the basic plot is it's this guy and his best friend is like a drug addict, and he lives like he's like a squatter in some house out in the middle of nowhere. And so he's like, I can't keep, seeing you like waste your life away like this. So what he does is he goes out to this guy's house and he handcuffs him to a pipe in the wall. And he goes, I'm gonna give you water and food, and here's a bucket so you can go to the bathroom, but I'm gonna stay here for a week and I'm gonna get you off these drugs because I love you. And like, I can't stand seeing you like this. But he's been getting footage, like just showing up like in the middle of the night in random places. Like someone's been like filming them and recording them, and like it starts off like analog. So it's, oh, here's some photographs of you guys sleeping in the middle of the night, and we just kind of put them under the door, and then oh, that's weird. And he goes under the house to inspect stuff, and then there's like a VHS tape of like someone's been recording them. So it's like somebody's been like, but I shouldn't say somebody. It's more something. There's some kind of weird force that's kind of following them. And it does get pretty trippy. It's a pretty cool movie. It's definitely more intellectual horror. There's not much violence or explicit horror stuff, but I love that it starts off just kind of like a thriller, but then kind of starts getting a little more sci-fi and a little more horror aspects of it.
Okay.
And there's some meta storytelling involved. And then the spin-off is called The Endless, which is a more Lovecraftian horror film. It's about these two brothers. They both grew up on a sort of commune, a cult that was like they worshipped like a UFO thing, kind of a doomsday cult, and they got out of it. And then, but as adults, they're sort of like, let's go back and to kind of like tie up some loose ends. And everybody there, like nobody has aged since
really,
since
that's
like,
cool.
like 15 or 20 years since they've been there. And same thing, like there are no real monsters. It's nothing terribly explicit, but they worship some weird force. And there's like a time loop going on, like out in the middle of nowhere. So like they're like repeating events. There's one scene where like in the middle of the night, they're doing like this group sort of trust like activity, and they're playing tug of war. And there's like this huge rope that they're pulling on, and the rope just extends into the sky. So they're pulling on something, but something's pulling back. So it's like, again, like all of these subtle things. I was expecting more explicit horror, so I didn't like it as much. But now I want to go back. Like I want to catch some of those smaller, more subtle intellectual horror things. Again.
These are like a few years old, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, cool. So The Endless features the two main characters from Resolution just briefly in one scene. But it was almost like a weird little like sort of like cameo thing. But it's interesting kind of seeing like these two films kind of tie into each other in that way. But those are two from people who are
you watched those recently?
Yeah. Well, I need to rewatch The Endless because I watched it 5 years ago and I didn't care much for it, but I want to revisit it because now that I like the prequel, now I want to like revisit the sequel. So
all right, well maybe I'll add those.
Yeah,
they sound interesting enough.
Yeah,
let me see the other. So for this, did I talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Oh yeah, I think we talked about that last week a little bit with Jim.
We talked about Hellraiser. I know that.
Yeah.
And then I watched X. You seen X?
Oh yeah, how was that?
So X I liked. I gave it a 77. It was definitely a throwback, kind of, checking a lot of the boxes. Isolated location. It's a group of young, attractive people, promiscuous, and I'm using that kind of jokingly here. It's they're
They're
literally filming a porno,
Right.
right? And it's like 1979. With Texas Chainsaw Massacre was 74, I think.
I believe
Right?
so, yeah.
Creepy rednecks out in the middle of nowhere. The kind of almost kills. I don't know what the term would be. Like in this one, one of the girls is in a lake or a pond, and you see like an alligator, but she doesn't see the alligator. So it's like that suspense that more than the character.
Right.
And the alligator approaching, and like she gets out in time. Of course, Chekhov's gun. The alligator comes in later, but maybe for her, maybe for someone else. But what I didn't realize was that one actress, Mia Goth, she plays two characters. She plays a character like her age, but obviously a character, and then the old woman, which is Pearl, which is another movie that came out recently, where it's like that character as a young woman, which I haven't seen. I heard it's pretty good, but X was it was cool. It definitely wasn't. I thought it was going to be a little predictable, and I'm glad it wasn't. It had a not like a twist, and I'm kind of glad it didn't have like a big twist, but it definitely had a with like the characters. It's kind of like, oh, here we go. Like this character is going to be the survival girl, and she's going to be the sympathetic one. And even though I can't fucking stand her, and it's like, no, it's like, oh, okay, like that's kind of cool. It is A24, so like you kind of have an expectation with A24 movies. Overall, they're, I think, probably one of the best studios.
I love A24
quality. I think I have friends who are like, oh, they never miss. Like, no, I wouldn't say that, but they're awesome movies.
At the very least, even if they make a film that's not very good, at least it's an interesting failure where it's like, okay, but you were kind of breaking some rules. You were doing something interesting you don't see in the mainstream. So overall, I like them.
Yeah, I would say their mean would be very high, not or their median. Their mean would be very high. Their mean movie.
This is not the Reckless Math cast.
It's not the Reckless Math cast. So I don't know. What else do I have to say about X? I have a
real quick.
Here.
So I know that the film was kind of intended to be kind of like a throwback to 70s trash cinema. So specifically to that of Tobe Hooper, who directed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, also in the 70s. This came out in 1976. It was a film called Eaten Alive. I haven't seen it, but my roommate says it's really good. I'll read you the quick IMDb summary real quick. A psychotic redneck who owns a dilapidated hotel in rural East Texas kills various people who upset him or his business, and he feeds their bodies to a large crocodile that he keeps as a pet in the swamp beside the hotel.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it. Hells yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to say about X. It scratches the itch. It's a classic kind of horror that you come for, and it's also very sexual, which is very good looking people. I didn't realize it's the male actor is Kid Cudi. Oh yeah, if you like Kid Cudi music, well, he's in it. I think you see his dick. You see a dick. I don't know if it's his real dick, but
sweet, awesome.
Yeah, so you see that, and the girls are very attractive, and they're making porn. So there you go.
All right, cool.
So, but I almost, now that I'm thinking about it, I almost wish they didn't use Mia Goth though to play Pearl, and they had an older, because it does feel like it's like this actress is not this age, and I get that, because an actress that age might not be able to do like like I understand that part of it, but like maybe someone older than Mia Goth who's like, I don't know, maybe early 20s.
Right.
Playing Pearl, this character is probably in at least her mid 80s. Yeah. If not older.
Right.
And there's very old people sex in it too. So
nice.
Yeah.
My favorite kind of sex, huh?
Yeah. It's not great. I'm just looking at A24 movies right now. I think it's A24, right?
No.
No. What is all this? I don't know. I just clicked on A24 filmography.
This is great content.
It's A24. Okay, hold on. So, fuck it. This isn't great content, but yeah, Lighthouse, Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
They
Ari
actually made a lot
Aster's
more movies than I
films.
thought. Midsummer, awesome. The Farewell, awesome.
Hereditary, Green Knight. Yeah, they've done a lot
Green
of movies.
Knight, Native Son was okay. Mid
Yeah,
'90s I liked.
A24 is kind of like a
Yeah.
dream studio for me, where it's sort of like we don't have the biggest budgets, but we'll let you do whatever the hell you want for $3 million. So it's like I'd rather have that than be like, hey, you have $150 million budget, but it's got to be a PG-13 rating, and it's got to star Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. It's like I'd rather just give me a small budget, but do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah, that is cool. Now I'm looking at this, they do kind of rule. Hereditary, First Reformed, which I fucking loved. I love like a radical priest like those are my favorite like archetypes. And Ethan Hawke plays a priest in that. It was really awesome. And he's one of my favorite actors. Lady Bird, which I didn't love like people love, but it's very Killing a Sacred Deer is an awesome movie. Good Time. Oh, it comes at night.
Good Time's good.
8/24. All right, I might watch that tonight. Anyway, this movie though is supposed to be a stinker. The Sea of Trees. I have it on my list just because it takes place in Japan, but it has like a 16% on Tomatoes or something. So we'll see. But anyway, so X, I definitely recommend X. Yeah, it's a good movie. Definitely like a throwback, but made in 2022. So that's cool. Hellraiser, I think we talked about last episode. My issues with Hellraiser.
Did you watch the remake yet?
No, I don't know if I'm going to. Should I?
Okay. There are a handful of minor, like, cool scenes, but for the most part, it's dog shit.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. Then no, I have too many other things to watch.
No. It's if anything, it's a more diluted version of the first Hellraiser. It's just like it's like the first Hellraiser is like it's so much more extreme and bizarre and weird compared to the remake, and that's not a good thing. If the remake is like watered down,
because that's not where you're coming for. Like you're coming for that crazy shit.
And not that the main protagonist of the first one, Kirsty, not that she's like this groundbreaking protagonist, but she was more empathetic compared to the protagonist in the remake.
Oh, really?
The protagonist in this one is just some like obnoxious vegan hippie hipster, and she's got these annoying friends, and you're just like, I don't care about any of you.
I hope they get you.
I hope you guys get skinned and all that shit. And also, they took away a lot of the sexual BDSM. S&M element
that's like what Hellraiser is.
I know, yeah.
That like added a whole nother element to it that wasn't just kind of the usual like kill people. It was like sexy kill people.
Yeah, it's like these leather-clad demons who are have like this violent sex with you. Like it's just like it's like that's so cool. But it's like this one it was just dumb.
I'm not definitely not this horror-thon. Maybe a future one, but I have too many.
If you ever watch it, like make sure you're doing something more like make like folding laundry or something. It's just like have it on the background. I watched that Foo Fighters horror film
Studio 666. Yeah, that's on my list too. But if I don't get to it during horror-thon, I don't know if I'm going. Is it any good?
It's okay.
I like the Foo Fighters.
Yeah, they're cool. And what's his face?
Steve Grohl.
Yeah, Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl. So I'll keep it on there, but I don't think it's free right now, and I don't.
Yeah, I would say it's worth watching, but you don't need to watch it now. There are much better horror movies to watch this time of year. I will say it was fun. I felt like it didn't. It felt like a movie that like a 15-year-old me would have written. Where it's like, okay, I'm gonna take a rock band, and then they move into a studio that like a bunch of like people got killed at, and then there's gonna be like this hot chick who moves in next door. Like it was just
that. That is funny. That does sound something you'd write. That's who we can. That's something you'd write now.
I know. Yeah, I know. But
she's super hot.
Yeah. But like, I will say, it's not a great movie. Like there are a handful of laugh out loud moments. A lot of the jokes are just kind of dumb. I mean, like because it's the actual Foo Fighters themselves, so they're not exactly great actors, but they each have some. They have some chances to shine.
Who's the blonde guy in the Foo Fighters?
Was it the drummer who recently died? Yeah.
Oh, he died. He did die recently.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's right. He plays have you ever watched a movie that you liked at first and then you rewatched it? And I don't mean like as a kid necessarily, because that happens a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean like really not that much time in between, and you're like, oh, this movie kind of sucks. That ever happened to you?
I'm sure it has, but I can't think of any.
That happened to me with CBGB.
Oh, okay.
And I think maybe the first time I was watching it, I was drinking and I was just like really into the music.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like speaking of like, oh, I wish I was there in the late 70s at
Yeah.
CBGB's down the Bowery.
Yeah.
Like, I remember CBGB closed, and like even when I was in high school, kids were in CBGB shirts, and
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wearing a Misfits shirt right now.
Hey,
But actually, I don't even know if they ever played there, but they're kind of associated. But actually, I think they did play there. But anyway, I watched that movie and I was like, oh, cool! It's Blondie and it's Patti Smith and I'm blanking on names right now. Who is
Velvet Underground and
no the Iggy Pop.
Oh, Iggy
and
Pop,
he plays Iggy Pop is why I brought that up.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, that the drummer from he plays Iggy Pop, and it's not a very good movie, but it is Alan Rickman plays who I like him. He also died, but he plays the what's his name Hilly something who created CBGB and it was funny. Do you know what CBGB stands for?
No.
It stands for Country, Bluegrass, and Blues.
Oh,
and it was supposed to be originally like a bluegrass bar.
Yeah,
like blues, that kind of music, and it didn't work. Like you're in downtown New York, and while in New York you can find you can find your thing, no matter what it is, you can find your thing. But I guess that there was enough people who want that to be their thing there. But so it turned into a punk bar because it was cheap and it was shitty. Like that part of the city was really shitty back then, not like it is now.
Yeah,
and I think Television, the band Television, got their start there, and that's really where they set off, and then every band went through there, and it became like a pilgrimage to both see shows there and to play there. But yeah, it's and the OMFUG or whatever is like, I forget what that stands for. It's like other gormandizers. I forget what the acronym is. I can't remember that one, but CBGB is definitely country, bluegrass, and blues. But anyway, little fun fact for you.
Nice. So Taylor Hawkins is the drummer, and he's the one who plays
Iggy Pop.
Iggy Pop. Oh, okay, yeah, I could see that actually.
Yeah, he does kind of look like him. Like you definitely could see that.
But yeah, Studio 666. It was Dave Grohl does a very good impression of Jack Black in that.
Really?
Yeah, he's basically just playing kind of like, which makes sense because he appeared in Tenacious D music.
Dave
as the
Grohl
devil.
is playing. Oh, is that who the devil is?
Yeah.
Like in tribute.
Yeah,
and
in the movie too.
That's Dave Grohl.
Yeah, it's Dave Grohl.
I never knew that, dude. I like kids these days, and I know I sound old as fuck. Like kids these days won't understand that when we were in high school, my friends and I, like now you would do TikTok or like watch YouTube. When I was in high school, we would just listen to the same skits like on our iPods, and we listen to like Tenacious D shit over like the same handful of skits. I can still recite some of them, like them ordering food at McDonald's, and he's like, I want a half Coke, half Diet Coke. I'm trying to watch my figure. I want a 16-piece chicken McNugget, and just like we were just listening. And looking back, I'm like, how did we do that? We were just like play tribute and listen to it and sing to it. And that's just, I couldn't imagine doing that as a kid now. Like that's what we did. Like before basketball practice or stuff, just sitting on the bench listening to Tenacious D skits.
Yeah, those are good days, man.
Those were good days, and I get to, and that's like our kids these days type thing, because our parents were like, oh, always listen to our 8 tracks or whatever the fuck it was back then.
And you know what's funny is like when I was in high school, I was like longing for those nostalgic days. Like, man, I wish it was the 70s and listen to records and cassettes and everything. But then, like, I look back now, I'm like, man, actually, high school and middle school were actually pretty cool. Like, looking back on some of those things, like the way we had to like bond with each other and like burning CDs and shit, and like,
yeah, man, because it was this intermediate period where it was like tech, in a way, I feel like still brought people together. It doesn't anymore. Like instant messages. Like I remember like putting up an away message and like going out in my backyard and coming back and like seeing people had messaged me, and I would have like, really corny away messages. They were like rap lyrics or something. And I remember like getting on the bus on like a Friday after school, and we would all get this, like kids these days would not understand. We would carry our fucking like Xboxes to school and bring them to a friend's house with like, if like one of us would be holding a TV, I would do System Link, and we have like 12 of us playing in a house of TVs everywhere in different rooms, and we would like run into the room and talk shit and stuff, and then run back and like be on those teams. Man, that was fun, because that was the age of why I think Stranger Things hit such a nostalgia factor for a lot of like Gen X, was the like going into the suburban basement and playing Dungeons and Dragons. And like our generation wasn't that much different, but instead of Dungeons and Dragons, it was Mario Kart.
Right. Exactly.
And it was like, there was some online, like I in my house, we would have a TV set up with a video game system, another TV with a different video game system, and like 2 computers. Because my mom was into tech really early. Like she did tech before tech was like a thing. So we always had like a lot of different computers in my house. So we have like one was for Warcraft, one was for The Sims, another TV was for Xbox, another was for PlayStation. And we would just like 5-6 of us, and we just be farting and drinking sodas on like a Saturday night. And it was amazing. Like it was amazing. And because there was still that social aspect to it. Right. And even by the end of high school, it did turn into like Xbox Live and everyone at their own houses. But that like gap there where it was like an N64 and you had 4 people playing on one system, like that is special. That I don't think we have anymore. Or I don't know what kids do now. I don't have a video game system anymore. I don't know what they do.
So the bringing the Xbox to school thing reminds me. It was in college. It's not really related to that, but somewhat similar. Me and my best friend in college, we would spend a lot of our nights breaking into the music department, like on Saturday night, because we weren't into like the frat scene at all. So we would just sneak into like the music building and play on the keyboards. And they were all these old keyboards from like the 80s. And they were getting rid of them because they were getting all new keyboards. And so they were selling them for dirt cheap. So me and my roommate, me and my friend, we both bought them, but like they were super fucking heavy because they're from the 80s. They're for like 100 pounds or something. So I remember, we took one to it needed 2 of us to take it to my dorm across campus. So we had to like carry it, like we were like, it was like a boombox from the 80s. Just like this big thing. Like, you're just like, and like, dude, this fucking hurts our shoulders. We can't just do that, because like my dorm wasn't even that far, and it was like, this is fucking heavy as hell. So what are we gonna do for the second one that you bought? So I got a skateboard. So like he sat on his skateboard and he had the keyboard on his lap, and I'm pushing him like across campus. But it's like this big ass heavy, like 100-pound keyboard from the 80s. But it's like,
did it fit in your dorm?
It did. I managed to squeeze it into our dorm.
Where'd you go to school?
Santa Clara University.
Santa Clara. Yeah, I always get that confused with Santa Barbara. Santa Clara. Is that the really violent one?
No. This is a very small Jesuit university.
No, not violent school, but like violent city.
Santa Clara? No. Santa Clara's pretty small and pretty safe.
Where is Lost Boys take place? I know it's like a fake one, but it's like based off
of Santa Cruz.
Oh, Santa Cruz.
Yeah, the murder capital of the world. No, it's not that bad.
So it's not. Are they even near each other?
In the movie, like they shot a lot of that in Santa Cruz, but they changed the name. It was like Santa.
I know they changed the name, but Santa Clara and Santa Cruz aren't near each other.
Oh, they're probably about 45 minutes away.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah, they're not too far.
All right, those are the 2 I get confused: Santa Cruz and Santa Clara. Yeah.
But
Santa Clara on the beach.
No, Santa Clara. It's not too far. Probably like 30 minutes from the coast. 30-40 minutes away from the coast. But
that's like Silicon Valley area.
Yeah. Santa Cruz is just a little south of us at the time. But
what do you like more? Do you like Southern or Northern California more?
Good question. Because I've been to like Napa, and it's really nice. It's very serene, and I can see why Francis Ford Coppola moved there.
I would love to go to Napa.
Napa's really nice. It's cool because it kind of has a balance. Like it has a nice, thriving downtown area, but it's clean and it's very sophisticated, and it's a little more classy. And then you just drive for miles and miles, and it's just ton. Because I was there for a film festival, so which is really cool. So like the northern part of California is definitely more. It's probably more very wealthy, progressive, but I don't see it's not very urban though. So there's not a whole lot of, it's still pretty clean. SoCal is definitely grungier for sure, but there's a lot more to do. So there's a trade off no matter which way.
Yeah, it's trade off.
Uh,
I want to do I think we want to plan a trip to next time we go to LA to like Los Olivos and Solvang like that. Like I want to go to like that because I have an affinity for like going to places where my favorite movies take place or books.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for that, and one of my favorites is Sideways.
Oh right, yeah.
Both book and movie. It's like I think one of the best combos of like the book rules, the movie rules. Like sometimes one or the other stinks, or just doesn't live up to it. But I think they're both great, and it's like one of my all-time favorite movies, and that takes place in that area: Solvang, Los Olivos, San Luis Obispo.
Yeah, that's Central Coast. The Central Coast is pretty nice.
Yeah, it's like an hour north of LA, right?
Closer to like 2.5, 3 hours north.
Oh, is it that far? Okay.
It's roughly like halfway between like LA and the Bay Area. But yeah, there's this gorgeous little coastal town called Morro Bay, and it's pretty. It reminds me a little bit. I used to go there for 4th of July a lot the last few years, back when Airbnb was actually affordable, and now it's just like
what happened?
I think it was a pandemic. I think they laid off a bunch of employees.
Is that it? Airbnb and Uber, dude. In that, I don't know about LA, but like in the city in New York, like taxis are cheaper now.
Yeah.
They're like better. Like if you can just get one, like Uber's nice because it can come right to your door. But like taxi also is an app. I don't know what it is, but they have one. But like we just hail taxis now. It's kind of old school. It's fun.
Yeah.
Like Uber, I don't know what the hell happened, but I do know a little. Like for years, I won't get into all this like economics of like for years they were actually operating at a loss. Just to corner the market and to basically put everyone else out of business. And it didn't work. Like they like the other like Lyft and which I use Lyft also. Actually, I get good points with Lyft with my credit cards, but Lyft and taxis just like survived, and I think Uber couldn't do it, and I think some bad PR and stuff like that. But like Ubers used to be so cheap, and now they're like either not as good a deal or just like more expensive than just getting a cab.
Yeah, and same thing with Airbnb now. It's like I just go to a hotel. It's for like
that's right. I just do hotels.com.
Yeah,
they're like cheaper and like I don't want to have to like and with hotels it's like okay, I know someone's gonna be at the front desk. And I know that I'm going to get a key. And I have to like meet some guy or something or like be accused of someone. When I went to Tokyo, we got don't get me wrong, we got an awesome Airbnb. We had a few and I liked most of them. And then like something happened and we got like accused of damage or something. We didn't damage anything. Like it's not like we were partying there. We were going out all the time and like something happened in the driveway and like there's a whole thing. He's like, okay, you have to meet me at the Starbucks and like, and we're on another continent. And it's like, dude, I just want to show up and get my keys and go to my room. Like, I don't have to meet you somewhere.
Luckily, I've never had that bad of experience. I mean, it's been a while since I've done Airbnb. So my experiences were pretty positive overall. But like when I was staying in this lovely little coastal town, it was like for $98 a night, I would get a place that had private entrance and private bathroom and like a view of the ocean, or it was in the downtown areas. It was like, okay, $100 a night. This is pretty nice.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was either $100 a night for Airbnb or $130 for a hotel. But now it's like $130 for a hotel and $200 a night for a small Airbnb in the middle of nowhere, 45 minutes away from the city. So I'll just do the hotel then.
And what sucks, what I find really annoying about Airbnb is you're not paying the price that you see at first.
Yes, exactly.
So it's like that's
so many fees, so many fucking fees.
So I'll do like $120 or something a night. Like that's what I'm looking for. And then I click on one. It's like, oh, $115. This looks like a good deal. But it's like, okay, then there's this fee and this fee and this fee. I'm like
$178 a night.
Yeah. It's like hotels.com. And also what's cool with I'm not like shilling for hotels.com, but that is what I use. After 10 nights, you get a free night somewhere. And I think they like average your so it's like it's not you get a free 5-star if you're staying at 3 stars the whole time, but like they average it down. It's like okay, you get a free night at a place $130 or less or something like that.
There's at least an incentive to use.
Yes. I always think businesses should do stuff like that.
I love stuff like that.
It makes me want to. Even if it's not always the best example is in Seinfeld with Elaine. Remember?
The subway.
With the sub.
Like,
the subs.
Yeah.
Like I've eaten 9 crappy subs. Just wants to like get the thing. And, like
the stupid hat or
whatever. But that works. Like that works. Like, people will go out of their way to like get the punch or get the stamp or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or give them like something. Give them some % off. And it's like, yeah, people will do that.
But Morro Bay was cool because it always reminded me. I would go there for 4th of July for like 3 or
Mhm.
4 years in a row, and it reminded me of like it was Amity from like Jaws, like the small town by the beach, and
Oh,
it's all
yeah, yeah.
small town, and we've all got a little parade, and it's like it's just like, oh, like this
Very
is
like
like
Americana.
exactly, but like in a way that never felt overbearing. It was just like, oh, it's just a bunch of people. They all know each other, local businesses, and it was
Yeah.
just waving American flags, and then we would shoot fireworks on the beach, and it's like it was such. I love doing, and I would do like little writers retreats because there's not much to do there, but it's just like
What do
okay,
you
like
mean? You
today,
go there to write?
yeah. Well, it would be like, oh, like, I'm gonna go to this winery, and I'm gonna bring my notebook and just write, and
That's
just have the
cool.
hills over here, and then I go on a
Yeah.
beach hike, and I'll
That's
go home.
very, yeah. We both have that like romantic
Yeah,
artist, because I remember like writing in a notebook, like backpacking Europe and
yeah,
stuff like that. Like it is very, yeah, I get that. I like that.
yeah,
I always wished I had the flexibility and the finances to just like I'm gonna go to Montauk and just write
yeah.
for like the because do you watch American Horror Story?
No, I haven't watched
I'm
any of that.
surprised you don't, because we doing a horror episode, but
I know.
okay, let me finish and then you can give me your take on AHS.
Yeah,
But the last season, I actually found out today there's a new season called NYC, which
Mm.
is awesome.
Mm.
But AHS is very hit or miss. Last season I loved. It almost felt like they wrote a season for Ben DeLessio. It was
Uh-huh.
like it was a split season, and the first half was Provincetown, in Massachusetts,
Yep.
Provincetown.
Yep.
Very artistic and actually like the oldest gay area of the country.
Huh.
And that's because that's where the Puritans used to send their undesirables, because it's like
Right,
at the
right.
corner. Legitimately, like that's just like,
Wow.
okay, go live out there because
Yeah.
we don't want you here. So like it always attracted others, right? And that creates art. And so it's there, but it's in the winter. And I have this love of like tourist places in the off season, because I live near one. My parents live in a tourist area,
Yeah.
but in the off season is the best, and it's so fun. And I love that like local feeling of like, oh, this place is 10,000 people, and in the summer it's 100,000, and I get
Yeah.
the beer when there's 10,000 people.
Nice.
So half of it's problem, and it's this really cool concept where there's this pill that artists take, and if you take the pill and it's like you're authentic, you become exponential at what you are. So if you're a violinist, you become incredible. If you're a writer, you're writing like an amazing novel. And the artists who are there, it's like, well, how are they doing this? It's like, how is she this romance writer who's so popular? So, but if you are not authentic, and if you suck, actually, you become like a monster, like a zombie type monster. And it's, there's commentary there, but it's really cool.
Yeah.
And then the second half, which has nothing to do with what we're talking about, the other half is about like basically aliens making a deal with the US to give us special weapons to fight the Soviets.
Sweet.
And it's all about like, Eisenhower and Kennedy and all stuff. Very cool though.
Yeah.
And like Roswell and all that shit. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so I always loved that idea of like, oh, because so in the AHS that season, the guy's like, oh, they go get a cheap-ish house in Provincetown, so it's the off season, just to like write or whatever. And I always loved that concept of like, oh, I'm gonna go just do a retreat. So it's cool they did that. But you should come if you like stuff like that. Whenever you can, come out here.
Yeah.
I know you're like afraid of the East Coast. We'll be nice to you. You've never been east of Texas. But there are towns like Cape May you would love, which I love. That's kind of like my retreat where I go for like a week.
I love quaint coastal towns so much.
Yes, you would love Ocean City is where actually I shouldn't say, but like that's that's near me, and there's a lot of towns like that. And I love living here actually, and being near that kind of stuff. And you get to have that like local feel. You get mad when everyone else comes. Like, ugh.
Well, you wrote that story. You wrote the short story. That's part of the.
I did.
Yeah, that was great. That was a cool little story.
What's that one? All Bennies Must Die.
Yeah,
it's very, very on the nose.
Yeah, I think that was like the second story you submitted to the Reckless Muse publication. I think. Yeah, it was one of your first ones.
That's I like it. That's why I wrote it. It's about a small beach community that kind of it tries to keep to itself and then it gets on the map, so to speak. And then people from Benny is a term. I actually don't live in Benny country because I'm South Jersey now, but Benny is a North Jersey Shore term. That's an acronym. It stands for Brooklyn, Elizabeth, Newark, New York. And it's like people from those like regional areas, kind of like invading the Jersey Shore. Even growing up, when I would take the Parkway down, because I'm from North Jersey, there would be like kids without shirts on and long blonde hair with signs that's like Benny's Go Home, like on the overpasses and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a town that gets overrun with Bennies, and they, let's say, take matters into their own hands.
That story you told me about the pill that you take that makes you like
Mhm.
a better crit. It reminds me of this story that I heard. So Grant Morrison is one of my favorite comic book writers. Like long story short, he took a bunch of drugs and traveled around the world and went to mysterious places, and then he had all these crazy mystical experiences, and then he wrote these experiences into like mainstream superhero comics. So it'd be like, oh, this is a Superman story.
What's he famous for? Oh, Superman?
He's done Superman, Justice League, Batman, X-Men, Fantastic Four. He's worked on a lot of mainstream stuff, but he's done a lot of independent creator-owned stuff. But he went on. I don't know if he does it still, but Kevin Smith, of Clerks fame. Yeah, he had his yeah, that's right. Yeah, he had a podcast called it a comic book podcast called Fat Man on Batman, and he had Grant Morrison on, and Grant Morrison has the most wonderful Scottish accent. So he's just telling like in the most completely like straight, like pragmatic way these crazy mystical experiences that he's had and how they influence his comic book writing. But he told about how when he was young and he first hit it big, it was a Batman graphic novel in the late 80s. That was like his first big hit. So with all this money, he was like, oh shit, I can travel the world and do crazy drugs. So one of the things that he did was but he instead of going to like tourist places, he would go to like weird sacred places. So he's like, there's like this staircase in Kathmandu, and it's got 365 steps. And if you can run up them in one breath, then you'll achieve enlightenment. And he talks about this experience and how it ended up in part of like a Justice League story that he wrote. And then Kevin Smith's like, yeah, but okay, but what does I like how like the fat guy's like, yeah, but what about those steps, dude? Did you get up those steps? He goes, oh, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, it's actually shockingly easy to run 365 steps in one breath. And yeah, I achieved enlightenment, and that's what he said. But it seemed that he was like in his mid-20s, and he was into martial arts, so he was pretty athletic.
Right.
But he was just and probably on drugs or something at the time, so it was just like this burst of energy. But he's like,
there's some drugs I could get up there in 10 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. But he was just like, I forgot to mention, I did achieve enlightenment. Yeah, and then the villain of that thing ended up in a Justice League story. But it was, but yeah, I love kind of local lore like that.
Mm-hmm.
But,
that's I know that's I'm always kind of jealous of that. I did a little of that. I mean, a lot of my first book was influenced from my travels. And yeah, that's and some of my other books are influenced. I mean, everything's influenced by your experiences in one way or another.
Right.
But Kevin Smith, I love his. He's very Jersey, which is great because New Jersey rules. And Clerks is like that part of New Jersey. He's from like Monmouth County, which I know you won't know what that means, but I love that part of the state because it's some of the most Jersey. And what I mean by that is that where I'm from is like very metropolitan New York. So it's kind of like in that big conglomerate of like Metro New York. Yeah. And then Southwest part is very like Metro Philly. So it's like Philly suburbs. And then I'm from like New York suburbs. And then you get these other sections, like the Northwest is very mountainous and rural, and you obviously don't feel like my family has a lake house up there, so you also don't feel like you're in New Jersey. You could, I actually think it's part of the Appalachian Mountains, like some of it. And then where I live now is cool. It has its own culture. It's like Southeast New Jersey, very like definitely Philly oriented, but its own thing, like shore and I like that about it. A lot of wineries and the beach. And Atlantic City influences a lot. But like that part of New Jersey, it's just fucking Jersey, man. It's like so Jersey. It's its own thing. There's no real cities. It's just like suburbs and shore towns. And I like that because like nothing else influenced it. Like, there might be some New York now. There's technically a train, but it's like too far, I would think, for people to regularly commute or enough people to regularly commute. So it's really like its own kind of like if someone was like, you have to take me to one region of the state to say this is the state, I would take you there to like the Clerks area, like Red Bank, Asbury Park, like that. Asbury Park is, I mean, everyone knows because the Stone Pony, which is where Bruce he famously played there a lot, and I've seen concerts there. It's a great concert venue. The shirts are very famous. So I don't know if you've heard of it, but
I don't think so.
Yeah, very famous venue at the Jersey Shore.
Nice.
Yeah, you should come sometime. Maybe, I don't know. We'll
No,
see.
I probably will. I should visit the other part of the United States at some point. Actually, I almost tagged you on Twitter. It was a list of the states that people. I don't think it was necessarily like the states that people hated the most. I think it was like states that people were moving away from the most.
Mhm.
New Jersey was number 1 and California was number 2.
Yeah. Oh, moving away from?
I think that's what it was. I don't think it was like the least.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. But like I don't know why I didn't, but I was going to tag you. But yeah, we made it in the top 2.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the New Jersey state motto: is "We don't like you either." So it's like, that's literally on flags here, which I've always said, and I feel like I should be copywritten for that. But I literally would say that long before I ever saw those flags. But they're like yellow with the state in its middle. It's like, yeah, well, we don't like you either.
That's like, I'll give you guys credit for that. That's a clever thing to do.
Yeah. Well, we just have both of these states have very high taxes. We tax the shit out of property here. You guys tax the shit out of income.
Yeah.
And we tax.
Well, we should tax everything. It's just like you drink.
Yeah, we tax everything too, though. But that doesn't surprise me at all.
Do you know what your sales tax rate is?
It's like 6.25, I think.
Oh, it looks like we beat you guys.
What's
We're
yours?
getting to like 9.5 or something.
Is it really that high?
It is,
dude. Yeah, you guys tax fucking everything.
It was actually worse. It's worse in LA than it was in the Bay Area. Because
Really?
from what I understand, the living in LA is actually slightly cheaper than living in the Bay Area, just because of fucking San Francisco.
Yeah,
but it's just like, but like the sales tax is much higher than here than in the Bay Area. In the Bay Area, it was like 9.3. Like it wasn't like
yeah,
we're still pretty bad here.
And we don't tax, I think, clothes, which is a big deal.
Okay,
like New York, I think so. That's like something everywhere has to get their taxes. Like for instance, Louisiana, a lot of people. Louisiana has the highest sales tax.
Really?
Yeah, they have like the highest in the country, and in fact, the French Quarter is the highest of anything. So like you can do little like municipal. It's like 11 point something.
Shit.
Like 11. So, but they don't have like property taxes, or very low, or they don't have most other taxes. But like they actually have really high sales taxes. You gotta tax something. Yeah. Actually, kind of hurts poor people more, but I mean they don't give a shit. So
nice.
Yeah, nice.
So you got any plans for Halloween? You know what you're gonna do yet?
I am going to be in the city. I'm doing a couple's costume with my girlfriend. We are going as James Dean and she's going as Natalie Wood in Rebel Without a Cause. I even got the red jacket. Sweet. And I'm going to, got the white t-shirt and the jeans. Yeah. And yeah, I'm very excited because I always love that movie. And I'll stop there. I don't want to get I won't get into personal stuff, but very excited.
Like a hangover episode, like November 1st.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of plans, potential prospective plans. My backup plan is to just go to the whiskey because they're having a costume party, and like I'm just gonna either way. I'm going to Slash somewhere. Do you have a top hat? And
didn't you go some last year?
I go with him for like the last 7 years. Yeah. Like, it's just like an easy go-to. It's a top hat, and it's just like I just dress like him anyway, just like denim and leather and Converse. All I need is a top hat and sunglasses.
You do like a nose ring?
Oh, I should get a nose ring. Though.
What is Slash? Isn't he like Armenian?
I know he's half black.
Slash is half black?
Yeah, his mom's black.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought he was like Armenian or something.
I don't know what the other half is.
My dad, every year, I'm not exaggerating this, every year I've ever known my dad growing up when we were trick-or-treating, he would go as Indiana Jones, and he's had the hat and the brown leather jacket, and he's like, hey, I save money. He goes, same thing every year. And now it's this thing. He goes Indiana Jones every single year.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
So if I don't do the whiskey, something that is kind of cool, it's a little more high class, but I still kind of want to do it. So there's that old German expressionist film, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. It's one of like the first, if I'm not mistaken, it's the first film to have like a twist ending. They're going to be showing that, I think at the Walt Disney Concert Hall, but they're going to have like a live organist playing or a live orchestra. So we might be doing that for Halloween. That sounds it's very classy, but I don't know. I'm kind of a Jack and Coke kind of guy, but I don't know. We'll see. I got a few plans up in here. Worst case, I'll just go to a dive bar, dress up a Slash. So
yeah, it's always just fun to dress it like everyone is dressed up. So you can't. Halloween's great.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, I haven't actually like dressed because I was actually kind of looking forward to trick or treaters, and like no one comes. I don't know. I'm on like kind of a busy street, maybe that's why. And I also didn't realize it was kind of dumb. It was very like I don't know, I guess I just assumed that kids would go trick-or-treating like the Saturday of Halloween, and then I'm like, oh wait, no, you actually just go on Halloween. So they might have been coming on like a Wednesday, and I just didn't do anything. I didn't. But I have a feeling that
I'm busy suing people.
Yeah,
it's work day.
I was just like watching TV, and they're like knocking on my door, and I'm not hearing anything. But yeah,
come back with a warrant.
Right. I love that, Matt. You guys have bloodshed.
Yeah.
I've been here 2 Halloweens and I haven't had a single trick or treater. So I'm like, I give up. That's about $20 worth of candy. I give up. I'm not doing it anymore.
I like the memes this time of year for when it comes to trick or treat. There's one where it's like Ziploc bags and like it's just like, and they're filled with Sprite. it's like one bag of Sprite per kid. And then there's one. There was somebody that had it was like just like a big bowl of cigarettes, and it was like, please only take one puff.
It was great. My neighbor, like we would all go, like all my friends and my neighbor and I were best friends, and we go. And his dad would like go to his. He'd like come to our house, and we would go first to his house to like start trick or treating. His dad would be like handing out cans of cream corn and stuff. like be like, all right, here you go, cans of corn. Here's some peas for Nick. Here's some corn for Ben. Like very funny memory.
Oh man,
yeah. My dad would give away all my candy after we went trick or treating, so it kind of fucked me up as a kid.
Bogus, man. That's why you're all fucked up now. That's why you're all.
He'd be like, "All right, you get a piece," and I'd be like, all right, and it's all gone. I was like 3 hours for this shit.
You ever see those Jimmy Kimmel things where they would have like parents like film their kids? So like the parents would film their kids saying, "Hey, I'm sorry, but I ate all your Halloween candy," and the kids would just like freak out. They're all like,
"Oh yes, yeah."
And then they send to Jimmy Kimmel. They're pretty fucking hilarious, and it's so funny. Like most of the time, they would freak the fuck out, but there would be a handful of kids who took it so they were so stoic about it. They're like 2 or 3 year olds.
They'd be like, "Oh, okay."
There's one girl that, like the most adorable little girl. So they said, I think she's like probably 2.5, 3, like barely able to talk. And like, "Oh, we're so sorry, but we ate your candy. We got really hungry." And the girl goes, "Oh, that's okay. How about tomorrow night we'll go out and we'll get some more candy?" And it's just like, oh, like
I do remember those videos. Yeah, I wish you would do more of that stuff instead of like Orange Man bad vaccines.
Hey, let's interview. Let's kiss Nancy Pelosi's ass, sort of thing.
Whereas, dude, him and Adam Carolla took such divergent like.
I know, man. When they did,
and they were both on the Man Show, and one went like so boring establishment, and the other went like total like right wing. Very, very funny.
But
all right,
yeah, man. Happy 50th.
Oh, I love 50 episodes. Yes, happy 50th. Cheers to that.
Yeah.
Enjoy your tequila.
Yeah. And,
50 good ones. We'll do something at 100. I forgot. I forgot for 50. I was like, oh shit, that's right. All right.
Yeah, we'll have all of our previous guests on at once for like 2 minutes each.
All right, get out of here. Next. Tell us how much you love us. Next. Did Alma move?
Yeah, she's in North Dakota, I believe. I think she's been honeymooning for a while now.
We should crash North Dakota. The TRM goes to North Dakota. Just both meet there. I would love to go to North Dakota.
And let's not tell her either. Like, let's just show up at her oil field or whatever.
Dude, I want to go to that part of the country. I want to go to like Wyoming, Montana, and shit. Last thing, dude. Have you ever had Cold Snacks, the beer?
No, I haven't.
Do you like? Are you a big beer drinker?
Yeah.
You're not. Are you?
Yeah, I love beer.
Big beer? Yeah. Dude, this beer, my friend introduced it to me this summer. It's like the unofficial beer of Montana.
Sure.
And it's just like the only way I can explain it, it's like good quality, like Bud Light. Like it tastes delicious.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste like a light beer, but like almost a light beer.
Right.
But it's really tasty and super cheap.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. They give like 8% of their profits to charity and nonprofits. I'm like, that's very cool.
Yeah.
And it's because they only at the one place I go to, they only sold 30 racks. I'm like, oh, it's kind of a big commitment. Like, 'cause I'm just gonna end up drinking like too many of them and get fat. Yeah. So, but the other place I go to, which I haven't been to in a while, they have 12 racks. It was like $10 for 12 rack, which is like super cheap in New Jersey for a 12 pack of beer.
Yeah.
And if you ever see them in LA, definitely pick them up because there's like easy drinking, delicious beer. They're called Moontucky.
Okay.
like one word, like Moontucky, and then the nickname is Colt Snacks.
So is it like a Pilsner or a lager or what?
Yeah, like a yes, like Pilsner is a type of lager, so it's like that, like a simple, easy drinking beer,
Nice.
but really, really tasty.
Cool. All
I'm
right.
gonna have one right now. Cool. Moontucky, if you want to sponsor us.
Real quick, speaking of super quick, speaking of sponsors,
Yeah.
so Norm Macdonald, he would on his podcast, he would have sponsors, but he would always fuck them up. Like I don't know why people like
fuck up the names.
He would turn to the guest and be like, "Hey, isn't that a great deal?" sort of thing. And like the guest, he was advertising Dollar Shave Club, Dollar Shave Club, and Andy Dick was on his show, and he's like, "So with Dollar Shave Club, Andy, isn't that an amazing deal? For $1, you get all of your shaving needs met. They send new razor blades to your house just for $1 a month. Isn't that amazing?" And Andy Dick's like, "Yeah, that's. I mean, it's not just for my face, though, right?" And and then Norm goes, No, there are no rules with this company because after all, they are a company that send razor blades to your home.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be a rite of passage though. Like if it was my company, I'd like love for Norm just like kind of fuck with it.
I would. It's just like, if you're a super famous pop star, it's like, oh sweet, like Weird Al Yankovic did a parody of one of my songs.
Yeah,
what a great.
You're always
gonna on South Park or something. Like,
you're never gonna be in want of sponsors when you're like Tim Dillon. He just he'll like be doing an ad. He'll be like, they're not gonna be with us much longer. Just like fuck He'll like fuck though. It's very good. Do you ever see him live?
No, I haven't. I do like Tim Dillon though.
I would love to.
A lot of
he's amazing. His shows, dying. So I for some reason I listen to a lot of them in the grocery store. Maybe like when the episode comes out, like I just happen to be like it's on the weekend or something. So I'm just like laughing to myself because like looking at me, they're like my earplugs and like laughing, picking out yogurt. Like what is this person doing? This seems to be a nice neighborhood.
I like when he does intellectual. So do you listen to Lex Friedman at all?
I do. I follow him. I'd probably listen to an episode in like 6 months. Like I'll throw him on once in a while.
Yeah.
I love Lex, but like sometimes his episodes are like, dude, this is too much. Like this is too much for me.
Tim Dillon's been on, and it's
he's been on Lex Friedman.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting. I mean, Tim Dillon.
I'll seek out that episode.
It's a good episode. He talks a lot about conspiracy theories, but I love how he does it in a way where he doesn't sound crazy. Where it's just sort of like, at the very least, the average American should have a decent amount of like healthy skepticism of
a healthy skepticism of institutions and your government is like a good thing, and people in power. Like that's good. That's how we don't get like become a totalitarian state.
Right.
And conspiracy is like the media has made conspiracy into a negative thing. Like conspiracy just means conspiring, like two people coming together to commit a crime. Like that's the legal definition, more or less. And like now it's turned into like aliens, like shit like that. Like and I'm sorry, a lot of conspiracies become fucking true, or like pretty close to it, or like parts of it. So I don't know. It's kind of like it's kind of like who's watching The Watchmen. It's like that concept.
Exactly. Right. And I love how he's just a lot of like, I mean, like, it's not a stretch of the imagination to believe that corporations are in bed with the government. And you could look up Wikipedia pages about this. Like there are things where it's pretty mainstream. It's pretty easy to find this, but people like to think that, that they are completely independently minded. So
I can be pretty quiet around people. And like, I was out fairly early on in my relationship with my girlfriend, and her parents were out at a Greek restaurant, like one of our favorite places, and JFK comes up, and I go through the entire rundown of JFK, but this is how it actually happened. So it's not like it's like it was a cover up, but it's not as conspiratorial as you think. It was more of like an accident and all this shit, and I could tell I'm like, oh god, I'm losing them. But like they were good sports about it. And I stick with it. It was an accident. It was more about covering up so we don't look weak in front of the Soviets. And the Secret Service was out partying all night, and someone accidentally discharged a weapon. Of course, Oswald was still one of the shooters, and he wasn't technically the only shooter. He was the only purposeful shooter. And I'll stop there. But like, yes, it was. But anyway,
we should do an episode.
Weekend, Joe.
You too, man. No, it'd be fun to do an episode like on movies or TV shows that dive into conspiracy theories or something. That might be kind of fun.
Sure.
Talk about JFK. That'd be fun. But all right, man, this was fun.
Well, wait, hold on. Speaking of Halloween, did I ever tell you about my costume 2 years ago? I was a parody of myself, and I wore a tinfoil hat and this jacket and a shirt, and I taped a piece of paper that said, "The media can't lie to you if there is no truth." Like, you can't laugh at yourself. But anyway, All right, go enjoy whatever non-binary thing you're doing in LA.
I look forward to hating it. So,
All right. All right, talk to you soon.
all right, later.
Hey, Rick, let's fight the crits, everyone.
Dupe
Fight